Hey guys, it's Lisa. Here today to talk to you about the price of free web hosting. And excuse me if I sound a little crazy, I'm just getting over a cold, so forgive me. What inspired this video was the number of emails that I've been getting lately, especially with this horrible economy, from people who are just so desperate to start making money online. And I don't want this video to come across as insensitive because I know that these are rough times and our economy is sluggish, people are losing their jobs left and right, and I understand that you may not have a lot of money to invest in a website, but the good news is it doesn't cost a lot of money to invest in a website. Now, in some other videos I talk about Site Build It, and I'm a big fan of them, and but you don't have to use Site Build It to build a successful website. That is one option if you can afford it. I highly recommend it. But it kind of makes me chuckle a little bit when people say, "Yeah, I don't want to have to pay for a website. It's just ridiculous." I'm like, you guys, if you want to make money, whether you're online or offline, whether you realize it or not, you are opening up a business. And businesses require investment of time and money. And if you want to complain about the cost of a website, think about if you wanted to open up a business offline. Say you wanted to open up a cleaners on the corner, or a convenience store, or a clothing store in your neighborhood, and you had to put up some money. You know how much money you'd have to put up if you wanted to start a business offline? Well, online, the beauty of the internet is that domain name and web hosting is so doggone cheap. Imagine a place where you can start a business for $6 a month. Isn't that a beautiful, beautiful thing that you can start a business for so cheap online? And so you have to kind of put it into perspective. So when the next time you complain about having to pay for a website, think about what it would cost you to start a business offline. And I just want to say that I am not a fan, as you can already see, of free web hosting. And I know there are a lot of you guys that have free web hosts. You love it. You're doing great with your sites. I think that's wonderful. But I used to be a customer of a free web hosting company years ago. And let me tell you a short story. The company decided to shut down, or actually decided to start charging their customers for these sites after about 5 or 6 years into me owning this site. And I got this email from the company saying, we appreciate you being a customer, but in order to keep our business going, we can no longer offer our websites for free. You're going to have to start paying, and you either have to pay for your site or you're going to lose it. Now, fortunately for me, the sites that I had hosted on this hosting company were sites that I could afford to lose. They weren't really making a lot of money. They were just kind of play around sites. But there were a lot of people who were angry because they had like businesses hosted on this free host, and they had to pay this hosting fee, and the hosting fee was ridiculous that they were going to charge because they realized people would rather pay the money than move their sites, so they hiked up the price. So it was really kind of sad. But like I said, I had sites that I was able to lose, so I just let it go. I said, forget it, just cancel my site. But there were a lot of people that weren't as lucky, and they had to continue. They wanted to continue paying because they didn't want to have to move their site to another host. And that's what happens, you guys, with a lot of these free hosts. They start out free because the company makes money from sponsor ads, affiliate links, Google ads. But if that money then is not enough to cover the cost of their hosting for them, because they have to pay for their own hosting accounts, then they have to start charging you to make up the difference and to continue make a profit. So that's what happens with a lot, especially a lot of these no-name free web hosts that are out here. There's always a risk, you guys, and it's just not worth it. And not to mention, the search engines don't take you seriously when you have a free host. And now there is the exception to that. A lot of people say, well, what about Blogspot, Blogger? Blogger's owned by Google. My blog gets a lot of traffic from Google because it's sitting on a Blogger blog, and Blogger is owned by Google. And that is true. I do honestly think that Blogger does kind of play favorites to Google, plays favorites to some Blogger blogs because, it's their product. But even still, guys, having a business hosted on a free account, in my opinion, what it says to me is that you aren't completely serious about your business. If you can't invest the $6 a month, or at least just buy a domain name for your Blogger blog, because the neat thing about Blogger is that you don't have to have a hosting account like you do with a self-hosted WordPress blog. You can just buy a domain and change the, I think it's the CNAME entry on your domain, and you can make your Blogger blog look as if it's hosted on its own domain without having to buy a hosting account. And if you go to Blogger, they have instructions on how to do it. So if you're going to use Blogger, at least get your own domain name. I mean, with the hosting costs being so affordable these days, I honestly see no reason, even if you just can't afford it right now, at least wait until you can. If that means 3-6 months from now, because a lot of people ask me, well, Lisa, can I just get a free, blog, and then, when I can afford a web host, I can just transfer it over to a free host or a paid host? I'm like, yeah, you can do that, but why go through the hassle of transferring your files over? Why not start the right way in the beginning rather than saying, oh, I'm going to start out on a cheap host and then transfer it later? I would rather you wait until you can afford it. Wait to start your site. And then, when you can afford it, go ahead and start on a paid web host and get it right from the beginning. Because, you guys, hosting is so affordable these days. I just really see no reason to start a money-making website on a free web host. People will not take you seriously. And if you think about it, when you read stories about successful websites, when you hear about them on the news or you read about them in Newsweek or whatever magazine you read, you never see that the name of the site is mysite.blogspot.com or mysite.freewebs.com. It's always mysite.com or mysite.net. These sites are hosted on true domain names. Another disadvantage to free hosts is that you can't do a lot. Well, you can't do a lot with them in terms of the functionality, because a lot of the free hosts have security things in place, so you can't upload like PHP scripts, and PHP is a language that is used a lot these days for chat rooms and forums. So when you see forums that you go to, a lot of them are hosted or are run by PHP scripts. So you need to have access, or you need to be able to upload PHP scripts in order to do these advanced things with your websites. And when you have free web hosts, a lot of times those types of things are restricted. And some of these free hosts will allow you to add a forum or chat room, but they're these template-based cheap things, and they're so limited and you can't do what you want to do with them. Bottom line, guys, is that free web hosting, oftentimes it looks cheap. And why would you want to start a business on a cheap platform? I just don't understand it. So maybe it's something I'm missing. Maybe it's just me, but I honestly don't ever see a reason that you'd want to start a business on a free host. Now, if you want to start out with a free blog and you just want to kind of see how a blog works and you want to practice your HTML or your CSS, I can understand you maybe wanting to start just to get your feet wet. But when you're ready to go live, when you want people to take you seriously, guys, buy the domain name, sign up for a web host. It's just not worth it. You want people to know you mean business. And I always question the seriousness of someone when they say they want to start a business but they don't want to pay anything. At least invest in your website. And then you go, well, what about software? I got to buy software. Well, you don't necessarily have to buy software. If you want to learn how to code HTML and CSS from scratch, you can go to htmldog.com, you can go to w3schools.com, and you can learn HTML from scratch. And all you'll need to create your web pages is this little free program that every Windows user has. It's called Notepad. Open up Notepad, start coding, save it, upload it. You've got a website, no software needed. Now, there is learning involved. That's not how I did it. I actually, when I first started building my sites, I had FrontPage. I had a free version of FrontPage. It was called, I think, FrontPage 98. And it came with Windows 98 back in the day. And I used that to build my websites. I have to be honest, I'm not I'm not a coder. I don't code from scratch. I always use software. Now I use Dreamweaver, and Dreamweaver is a bit pricey. So you don't have to buy Dreamweaver. You don't have to buy software, but that's what I recommend because it was easier for me to learn that way. But a lot of programmers will tell you it's better to learn from scratch using Notepad, and it's a heck of a lot cheaper. So you guys, the next time you want to complain about having to pay for a website, think about the web and how great it is. Where else can you start a business and have the potential to make a ton of money, and all you have to invest is $3 to $6 a month in web hosting? I mean, you have to put it into perspective, guys. And like I said, if you don't want to spend any money, I have to question how serious you are about this. Are you really taking this seriously, or is this just something you're gonna just say, well, I'll try it. If it works, fine. If it doesn't, fine. But I think people who are serious about making money online understand that there is an investment of time and even a little bit of money involved. So I hope you remember that. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.